I mean, one of the greatest things for this war is that now Americans know where the Strait of Hormuz is. You open up your credit card statements, and there's the Strait of Hormuz. It's your energy bills. It's your gas bills.
He is attacking South Korea and praising North Korea, which last time I checked is still a nuclear-armed dictatorship.
You know, he didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody. But I get along with him very well.
And American foreign policy, historically, allegedly, was about principle. Trump doesn't care about principle.
Today you heard Trump say something very different. He said, I do not have a timetable. I'm not in a hurry.
Guys, you are not going to believe what Trump said on camera about a nuclear-armed dictator. On Abby Phillip's show, MAGA pundits walked in ready to defend Trump's foreign policy disaster and got absolutely shredded on live TV instead. Abby and the progressive members of the panel fact-checked these guys so aggressively that they were left scrambling for answers. Let's see what actually happened during this heated showdown, and I'll talk about it as we go.
Tonight, President Trump takes the phrase, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer to heart. Well, at least that second part. He is days away from launching new tariffs against Canada. He's threatened to bomb the shit out of Oman. And now he's saying that he's scaling back joint U.S. military drills with our ally, South Korea. Those drills have been conducted for over 70 years in an effort to deter North Korean aggression. And yet, today, he is also fawning over North Korea's dictator leader.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request to have a conversation?
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has. I understand him. He understands me. You're doing war games. I get along with him. You know, he didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody. But I get along with him very well. Now, what I'm doing is making things safer.
Now, this weekend, Trump said that the reason for this pause was his good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and he also criticized the costs of the exercises and that they sent a totally inappropriate and hostile signal to North Korea, who he says has been unthreatening and respectful. But he also said that this isn't the only reason for his decision.
But I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you? So
I can't tell, actually, which of the two things it is. Is it that he just loves Kim Jong-un so much, or is he mad that South Korea didn't help him out on Iran?
I think it's a little bit of that, and it's the unreliability factor that he loves. He loves throwing these wild things into the air at moments where he needs to sort of back away from the conversation in Iran, for instance. Remember, he tried this in his first administration. Right. It didn't go well, right? The one person I think who's actually had traction on North Korea is Dennis Rodman. And I think that's been a long time ago. You guys remember when he went out to North Korea, got a little bit of, what did he get in the end? Nothing. And I think it's the same road that Trump is going to go down, because this is not an easy bargain to do. You don't have your enemies suddenly turn and become friends. You've got to show leverage, and it doesn't seem like he has any right now.
This just seems like the wrong fight to be picking, Bill.
Let me read this headline from CNN. U.S. and South Korea scale back joint military drills to reduce tension with North Korea. That was from today. No, it was from 2019. This is in line with what's been, what's been done before.
The last time Trump did this.
Done before. We now have a new president of South Korea who's a very different vision of how to deal with North Korea. It's not to fight. It's to proceed with peace talks and disarmament, and military exercises in the DMZ would fly completely in the face of that.
It's not that Trump is saying, oh, let's work with South Korea to take a different strategy. He is attacking South Korea and praising North Korea, which last time I checked is still a nuclear-armed dictatorship.
Yeah, look, this is in line with past policy. I believe it's in line with where South Korea is today. That's the fact.
There's not a doubt in my mind he is pissed off that South Korea has refused to help in Iran. If you look at his first campaign, President Trump's, his second campaign, and his third campaign, he's been very consistent. We're only going to help those who help us. Why are we helping everybody around the world and they're not helping us? And now he makes a specific ask. We need I mean, he played it down here. It's an easy war. We need a little help over there. Do you want to help? They say no. Okay, no problem. Look, Donald Trump, any of us New Yorkers know, he comes out when in all of his negotiating skills, whether it's real estate, casinos, beauty pageants, he comes out like the guns of Navarone. He comes out, with like you just said, making crazy statements, trying to gin it all up, and he's done it.
But he's going to look crazier when nothing happens. We know we've gone down this road. Multiple presidents are because they're dumb. They understand that this trajectory takes policy, and there's no policy behind this.
Guys, here is the most astonishing headline that'll stop you mid-scroll. Trump is bragging about how well he gets along with Kim Jong-un. And you know who Kim is? A brutal, nuclear-armed dictator who starves his own people and locks up anyone who dares disobey him. I understand him. He understands me. That is exactly what Trump said on camera in front of reporters about the dictator running North Korea. And you know what? To prove it, Trump is scaling back military drills with South Korea. Drills that are critical to maintaining deterrence and stability on that peninsula and have been for decades through Republican and Democrat presidents alike. Now, flip that whole picture over for a second and look at what Trump is doing to America's actual allies in that exact same breath. It's quite shocking to hear Trump threatening to make Canada the 51st state of America. He's threatened to take control of Greenland. He didn't stop there. He also went after Spain and other NATO countries just for refusing to go along with his demands. And now, somehow, going a step further, he's straight up threatening to bomb Oman, a real ally that served as a crucial diplomatic channel between Washington and Tehran for decades, through Republican and Democrat administrations alike. A reporter asked him point blank about bombing that strategic partner, and this is what he said about Oman. "We handle them very easily." That's it. That's his response. Seriously? Can somebody walk me through the logic here? A dictator like Kim Jong-un gets flattery, warm handshakes from Trump, but our actual allies, the countries that show up for us when we need them, are getting bombing threats and public insults from our own president? One panelist rightly said, "This isn't a strategy, it's personality-driven foreign policy running purely on vibes and grudges. Whoever flatters Trump the most wins his favor. There's zero actual strategy or doctrine behind so many of his statements and decisions. None. And the surprising part is that MAGA pundits are trying to defend him with the same tired argument. This is just how Trump negotiates. Tough talk now, deals later. Sure, cool, sounds nice on paper, but what about the results? Gas is still high. The Strait of Hormuz is still severely restricted. Iran still has unresolved nuclear questions. No major objective has been clearly achieved so far, and the list of problems goes on.
I think the timing, this is less about South Korea and more about North Korea. The fact that this happened right as the 60-day Iran...
You mean Iran?
Yes.
Yeah, more about Iran.
No, more about North Korea and Iran, because he desperately does not want North Korea to help Iran as they have helped Russia. And he knows the 60-day deal with Iran is just expired. He knows it's going to get worse.
So you think he's trying to sweeten up?
Yes, he's
North
trying
Korea.
to, and that shows that how the footing we're on, how poor it is, that he is trying to cozy up to North Korea to get them to not help, Iran. This shows that his policy is failing. It's not so much about South Korea.
Yeah, I do think the Iran piece is super important in all of this, because at the same time that he's making these threats about our relationship with South Korea, he's also threatening our ally, Oman. Listen.
This morning you said you would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Would you say you're out of patience with Oman, a strategic partner?
No, I don't think they behaved very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
To Dina's point, it's been 60 days, nothing has happened. Strait of Hormuz is still effectively closed. Iran still has the nuclear material in its possession. They are hardening. It is an embarrassment of that policy.
The policy is a failure, as Dina mentioned, and what's going on right now is that Trump has a foreign policy based on personalities and payoffs, not about principle. And American foreign policy, historically, allegedly, was about principle. Trump doesn't care about principle. You say it like it's a good thing. He's acting like a mob boss. But I think, honestly, the American people and people of the world want leadership that's consistent from the American president. They want us to stand up with our allies, not just Oman. He is threatening Spain and other allies, NATO allies, just because they don't agree with everything he says.
Canada's going to be the 51st state.
Canada,
Aren't you hip to the
Greenland,
situation,
all
right?
the different threats. That's not effective strategy. This is a guy who came and said he's going to resolve the war in Ukraine. He was going to resolve all these issues very quickly once he became president. He's failed to do so.
United States twice It's also made him the president of the United States
and
twice.
And the
that's a fact.
That's not a good thing. The fact he's been president.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing for him. It's a good. Some people agree with his policies.
So wait, I'm
half
sorry.
the country or a majority of the country.
What specifically do you think has made him president of the United States twice? Because, he ran on America first.
Right.
We weren't going to get into the foreign wars. We weren't going to be fighting battles in the Middle East. We weren't going to be trying to do regime change. That's the antithesis of how he's governing right now.
Well, I think if you ask him, you don't have to ask him. He said it. He said he thinks that Iran, who has been our number one enemy since the end of the 70s, if they have a nuclear weapon, it's going to put Americans in peril. It's going to put clearly Israel, the only democratic state in that area, in peril, and it's going to put all of Western Europe if those nuclear weapons could go that far. So he would argue, and he has argued, that I'm doing this to protect America.
I would disagree that nothing is happening. 3 days ago, 14 countries, including Saudi Arabia, signed a coalition agreement. We want to secure global trade in the region.
Guys, quite interestingly, the real question nobody wants to touch is the impact this conflict with Iran has had. And when you actually look at what's happening on the ground, things get a lot worse. Trump walked into the Oval Office branding himself the ultimate deal maker, the guy who promised to end forever wars and deliver on a long list of bold promises. But instead, he launched this Iran operation swearing it would deliver fast, decisive results. The kind of confident line that sounds fantastic in a press conference and completely falls apart months later when the results have to speak for themselves. The actual goals of the war are nowhere close to being met. Stopping Iran's ballistic missile program, dismantling its ability to build nuclear weapons, cutting off terror funding, none of it has been fully achieved. Iran still has significant unresolved nuclear capabilities and material. It's still firing missiles at U.S. bases in the Gulf, and most importantly, the Strait of Hormuz, a passage through which roughly a fifth of global petroleum liquids consumption passes, is still choked off almost completely, month after month, and there is still no clear fix in sight. Right now, fewer than 10 commercial ships are getting through on some days. The normal number used to be well over 100 every single day, like absolute clockwork. That means the Strait is operating at only a fraction of its normal capacity. It's not a win for the United States, folks. That's a broken promise wearing a suit and tie, smiling for the cameras, and quietly hoping you don't check the receipts. Guys, remember, J.D. Vance back in June when he confidently told reporters that gas was already dropping under $4 and Iran was honoring their commitment? Yeah, about that one. Turns out Iran pulled the oldest move in the entire diplomatic playbook. Stall, wait out the clock, and let Trump's deadlines quietly expire one after another. Now, this president is the one left looking desperate and impatient, heading straight into a midterm election later this year. It seems that Iran's real weapon was never just a missile. It's time itself, plain patience, the willingness to endure the pressure and simply wait him out completely. And Trump's own team appears to have backed away from those earlier deadline promises. No more any day now. Total radio silence instead. Absolutely nothing. Pretty convenient, huh? Yeah, almost too convenient. And now these MAGA pundits are also running out of steam when they're asked the obvious question: what exactly is Trump's exit strategy from this conflict?
2, we want to reduce foreign dependence on security. Things are happening. Trump has asked people to step up.
What's happening,
people are stepping up.
What's happening vis-a-vis the actual goal of this war, which is stopping Iran from being a malign actor in terms of ballistic missiles in the region, proxy sponsorships of terrorism, and nuclear weapons? What's happened on
change is not going to come from Washington. Change is going to come from the Middle East.
Oh,
when you see
tell that to
14
Donald
countries,
Trump. Donald Trump started this war because he thought he was going to impose Trump. He was going to impose Trump's Pax Americana on Iran. He was going to force them to come to the table and submit.
Let me play. I mean, this was J.D. Vance. Let me just play. This is June 18th. This is after they signed the Memorandum of Understanding. Here's what he said was going to happen.
I think the president's peace plan in Iran is already bearing real fruits for the American people. Oil prices are down nearly at their level from the pre-war conflict. Gas prices dropped below $4 a gallon today for the first time since the conflict. And importantly, they're going to keep falling further given how low oil prices are. The Iranians, for the second night in a row, did not shoot at any ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they are honoring their end of the commitment.
He's telling us that this is the beginning of a beautiful peace with Iran, effectively. None of these things have happened. Gas prices are still high. Iran is still shooting at ships. There's been literally 2 tankers moving through that area, three commercial ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz in 24 hours. Used to be 100, over 100 per day. Nothing has changed except the reports that Iran is hardening.
What's changed is Iran's greatest weapon is not a missile, it's time. Yeah. They're trying to wait this thing out. Today you heard Trump say something very different. He says, I do not have a timetable. I'm not in a hurry. That tells me he's looking for something.
He's been saying that, though,
well,
right?
He's been setting timetables.
He's been saying that, setting timetables. He's been giving them offers at peace, Rena, and then he's been backing off at them because even though he's saying those things, he's acting like he does care that there's a midterm election coming up, that the gas prices are high, that he really does need this thing to be wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest things for this war is that now Americans know where the Strait of Hormuz is. You open up your credit card statements, and there's the Strait of Hormuz. It's your energy bills. It's your gas bills. I did a family vacation to Maine, and gas was almost $5. Yeah. I mean, you are feeling it, and Americans are feeling it, and people are starting to ask questions. You know, you take your kid to a Little League game or something. People are feeling it. They're talking about it on the sidelines of games, and I think Americans have reached their limit on this. And I think he has entered the quicksand of the Middle East. It's very hard to get out.
And the Iranians, I mean, to Bill's point, I mean, I think you're right. Yeah, they are playing a time game, right? Yeah. Who's winning that game?
Well, I think who's winning is Iran. And I think going back to the point of Oman, most people might not realize what a strategic importance this country is in negotiations for Washington over administrations, not just for the Trump administration. They are like the hotline to Iran, only because they have leverage on understanding on both sides. It's like having a homeowner who owns the driveway, right? Everybody's got to go through that driveway. They've got access to the Strait of Hormuz. So to say what Trump has said to Oman is just not only out of line, it is not in U.S. interests.
Guys, here comes the most important and potentially deadly impact of this war. It's already showing up in your wallet right now, today, this very week. While the Iran deal quietly collapses behind closed doors, American households are still dealing with the rising cost of living pressures. Trump promised to bring these down. Gas did fall below $4 in June, just as J.D. Vance said, but that didn't last. Groceries, eggs, and the basic stuff you toss in your cart every single week keep climbing higher, with little relief coming from the Trump administration. And you know what? Heating your house this winter could hurt your bank account too. One of the critics put it perfectly. Parents are now literally standing on the sidelines at their kids' Little League game talking about gas prices instead of watching the actual game. Think about that for just 1 second. That's how deeply this has crept into your weekend plans, your grocery run, your kids' Saturday morning practice. And while your bank account is absorbing the hit week after week, Trump's priority is picking brand new fights with the exact allies that are supposed to have our backs when we need them. Guys, Trump ran on America first, no more forever wars. And somehow, we're now watching a major Middle East conflict continue while the situation keeps getting worse. Gas and energy prices are under pressure, allies are furious, and a dictator like Kim is getting more warmth and flattery from the Oval Office? I mean, what exactly is going on with this foreign policy? Trump has failed us by almost every measure that matters here. He's a complete failure when it comes to foreign policy. The conflict with Iran, relations with allies, and economic policy. If things keep going in the same direction, working class Americans could face even harder days ahead. That's it for today, guys. What do you think? Is Trump cozying up to a dictator while threatening our own allies and leaving American families to deal with price hikes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you in the next video.